This is WPTV, News Channel 5 at 6.
Many, it is a source of treasured childhood memories, but some critics say this circus brings nothing but pain and suffering for the animals who perform there. News Channel 5's Cynthia Demas is joining us now live from the Clyde Beatty Cole Brothers Circus in Vero Beach. Cynthia?
Jim, it is excitement under the big top for a lot of young eyes out here tonight, but is the excitement at the expense of the animals? Protesters out here say yes. They say the animals are just victims of abuse. About a dozen protesters gathered out here in front of the Clyde Beatty Cole Brothers Circus in Vero Beach. They're protesting animal cruelty. The group claims the animals are not treated fairly. They cited a Department of Agriculture report that shows 2 elephants recently died in this circus. The circus workers say the 54 and 49-year-old elephants died of old age.
They are performing out of fear. They travel endless miles from city to city in dark, hot, filthy boxcars and trucks.
My comment is that they're entitled to their opinion. My opinion is that they're wrong. They're welcome to come and inspect our animals. We allow that everywhere. All they've got to do is contact me. I'll take them on a tour. They can look.
And actually, they are going to come in and take a look in just about 20 minutes when this show's over. The circus gave us the okay to escort the protesters inside with our cameras and have them take a look at the animals firsthand. We'll have that part of the story coming up tonight at 11. Reporting live in Vero.
Tonight, we want your opinion concerning the circus. The News Channel 5 Fast Track poll will be asking this question. Do you think circus animals are treated unfairly? Tonight, we'll survey hundreds of you, and the results of this scientific poll tonight on News Channel 5 at 11 o'clock.
Animal lovers picketed today over an all-American circus in Vero Beach. And is there a...
Breathe now, Jay. Your local news is next.
Ahead at 11, do you think circus animals are treated fairly? The results of our Fast Track poll. Preparing a living will, your say in what happens to you using 5 wishes.
News Channel 5 at 11. The most watched news in the Palm Beaches and Treasure Coast.
Jim. Well, lions and tigers and bears have some animal activists up on the Treasure Coast saying, oh my, tonight.
The circus rolled into Vero Beach, and today some wide-eyed children were not the only ones attending. News Channel 5's Cynthia Demas joins us from Vero Beach with more on this protest under the big top. Cynthia.
Laurel, Jim, right now the big top is actually breaking down as we speak. They're packing up and they are heading out. But the crowd didn't only get to check out some high-flying acrobatics here, but also some high-flaring tempers. The circus. Education and entertainment for kids of all ages, or animal cruelty.
They can go berserk.
The Animal Rights Foundation of Florida protested the Clyde Beatty Cole Brothers Circus.
This is not a good way to treat animals.
The Clyde Beatty Cole Brothers Circus was recently written up by the Animal and Plant Health Inspection Service for scar wounds found on elephants caused by elephant hooks. But circus officials claim the report is not accurate and did not agree with what protesters had to say.
My opinion is that they're wrong. They're welcome to come and inspect our animals.
Do you guys want to do that?
I'd love to do that. I'd like to see what the animals look like.
With that, our backstage tour began.
See the way he's bouncing his head up and down like that? That is a sign of stress. So then
People say that's neurotic behavior. Some experts say it is. Some experts say it isn't.
And what about the report citing scars found on the elephants from hooks?
It was folliculitis, which is ingrown hairs. It's a common problem. It's normal.
And what's normal for these exotic tigers? The activists say small cages are unacceptable. Tiger trainer Cheryl Haddad said the tigers are trained like domestic animals with food as a reward. And her children, as she calls them, get nothing but the best. But was the tour enough to get protesters to put down their signs and enjoy the show?
What I saw back there were animals with broken spirits.
Still not convinced, Guttridge and fellow animal activists went home, and the show went on. Now, circus officials say they travel with the animals 9 months out of the year. Reporting live in Vero Beach, I'm Cynthia Demas, News Channel 5.
About a dozen protesters gathered at the entrance of the Clyde Beatty Cole Brothers Circus in Vero last night to inform circus goers of animal abuses. The demonstrators were armed with recent citations given to the circus for scars found on elephants from training hooks. Circus workers say the report is not accurate, and they're petitioning a change in the report. But the protesters believe it's still wrong.
This is not a good way to treat animals.
They're entitled to their opinion. My opinion is that they're wrong. They're welcome to come and inspect our animals.
The animal activists toured the circus. They still argue that no matter how well the animals are treated, they should not be in captivity. The Clyde Brothers Circus is now in Coral Springs for several shows this weekend.
Channel 2.
In just a few weeks, SeaWorld will open its newest park, Discovery Cove.
It's located right across from the main entrance to SeaWorld, and it's promising thrills like no other park ever has. News Channel 2's Wendy Chioji is at the park continuing our special coverage. Wendy?
Hi, Laurel. It's kind of dress rehearsal out here for the folks at Discovery Cove, and they decided they'd let us show you what it's all about. The day rate here at $179 is steeper than a rate you'd pay at other theme parks, but this is a different kind of adventure. First and foremost, you get to swim with dolphins. Take a look right now. After a training course and some instruction with trainers, you get in the water, you get to give the dolphins commands, you get to interact with the animals. The whole experience with the dolphins takes about 90 minutes. It does look like a lot of fun, too. Also here, there's an incredible aviary. You can see here there are 350 birds, 30 species of birds from all over the world that will eventually be in the aviary. You can feed them, you can hold them, and you can pet them. There is a lot of animal interaction here, and there are folks out here that say that people shouldn't swim with dolphins. Environmental reporter Dave McDaniel is also here live at Discovery Cove with more on that issue. Dave?
Well, Wendy, when Discovery Cove officially opens July 1st, protesters have pledged to be out front. It's a group really very familiar to anybody who runs an animal park because they oppose all types of captivity. So it's no surprise that they find swimming with and grabbing onto dolphins even worse.
Hey, guys.
SeaWorld's not the first to offer swimming with sea creatures. Many places in the Caribbean, even places in the Keys, let you swim with dolphins. And in the Cayman Islands, Stingray City is one of the most popular scuba diving destinations in the world. But just like a couple of years back when Disney's Animal Kingdom was protested on opening day, there's a disagreement over Discovery Cove. Is it fun and safe for all, including the dolphins?
Captivity itself is very stressful. And to allow this kind of hands-on interaction with them just adds another level of stress.
And the animals really seem to enjoy coming up. And, you know, rarely do we see one that just says, I don't want to be part of this.
You know, this whole thing is just another example of exploiting marine mammals for commercial purposes.
You know, you can look behind me here and you can see the animals. You can see our results. SeaWorld, we've had more than 35 years of great experience taking care of these marine mammals. You won't find a better facility. You won't find better people in the world trained to take care of the animals.
Some local invited guests have already experienced the dolphin swim and see no reason for any controversy.
As far as them being mistreated, I don't see that. They have a positive reinforcement training thing that they do here.
And then they'll get to know you so much.
The trainers, you know, they love these animals. They're well trained, they're protected, and they're having a good time.
We're always there to make sure that you're not stepping out of line and protecting the animals. And they let us know right front the animals were really important to them. And
to a person, everyone who swam in the lagoons with the dolphins came out saying that they had a stronger affection for the environment, for the dolphins, and more knowledge on how to protect the environment. And Wendy, that even includes learning about special sunscreens that people can wear, that after you go in the water, those sunscreens are less harmful to the creatures that live in the water.
Channel 2.
SeaWorld's Discovery Cove is a high-stakes tourism gamble. Directors hope folks will spend nearly $200 each for an up-close and personal experience with dolphins and other creatures. They also get the guarantee of no lines and personal attention. Nationally known animal expert Jack Hanna helped christen the park today. Environmental reporter Dave McDaniel spoke with him about the debate over how much animals and people should mix.
Festive music, dolphin acrobatics, and the delivery via dolphin dorsal fin of Jack Hanna. Often called upon for his zoo and animal expertise, his first impression was positive, to say the least.
I don't know what an astronaut feels like, but that's the next thing to it. Wow, thank you very much.
Moments later, after the lei had been officially cut for the unveiling, I spoke with Hannah about the park and the controversy over the grabbing and touching of dolphins.
They can have their agenda, we can have our agenda, but we've proven with our agenda, by the millions of people that come to these parks, that we're on the right agenda.
The same organization that protested Disney's Animal Kingdom 2 years ago has promised to be at Discovery Cove on the July 1st opening day. Opposed to captivity of any kind, the touching and grabbing of dolphins has them especially upset.
It adds another level of stress, and yes, stress is the #1 killer for people and animals alike.
Go out with me sometimes and see what's happening to these animals in the wild. I just got back from Alaska where we saw some of the Pacific dolphins, some of the cold water ones up there, fishing nets, animals drowning.
People opposed to captivity will never agree with places like SeaWorld or Discovery Cove. But Hannah says zoos are very important because they teach the people who visit how important it is to protect wild habitat. Lessons they may not get anywhere else.
Because with education, we can prolong the lives of many of these animals for hundreds of years.
They're exploiting them. It's for commercial purposes. There's no other reason.
The debate rages on while visitors see no harm in the playful exchange. Dave McDaniel, News Channel 2.
The park does seem to have won the battle of public opinion. Entry is by reservation only, and the first 2 months that the park is open are booked solid.
Not far from Sandhill Cranes, with the glow of a glorious Florida sunrise, some white-tailed deer get a glimpse of us and run off. It's natural for them to be afraid, and here they can easily get away. But what if they were surrounded by a fence, perhaps in a hunting preserve where you can bag a trophy critter for a fee? This undercover video from the Humane Society of the United States claims to show the ugly side of hunting preserves.
It's like taking target practice. It's like fishing in a fish tank.
But as the fence goes up at the Ross Hammock Ranch north of Crystal River, the owner says if he gets final approval for his hunting preserve, it'll be a legitimate hunting challenge.
The habitat here is extremely thick, and so as they hunt throughout the preserve, they're going to be in a very natural, fair chase environment here.
Ross plans to have Florida animals and exotics like this herd of European red deer and elk. We did get very close to the animals in their smallish pen, but Ross says once all 1,500 acres is fenced in and they're released into it,
They'll be in there 3 or 4 months before we commence hunting on the preserve. They're going to resort back to their native wild tendencies.
It simply cannot be a fair sport to hunt down, tame, and trusting animals in any kind of enclosed area.
Ross says the density of the vegetation on his property gives the animals a fighting chance, fence or no fence. As an example, I'm roughly 10 to 15 yards from the camera. But until I move out here, you couldn't see me. It's a debate where neither side will budge. That's why Fish and Wildlife passed stricter rules for hunting preserves in late 1996.
We want to make sure that that animal has a sporting chance.
The state rules require
a minimum acreage provided for them with wooded areas, grassy areas, that kind of thing. And if we go out and do an inspection, if those areas are not provided, we don't issue the license or permit.
Animal rights groups aren't the only ones disgusted by these scenes from out-of-state hunting preserves.
No, that's not a true hunt. That's a kill.
Hoppy Kemper manages a ranch where people can hunt native wildlife for a fee. Only fenced in like any cattle pasture would be, wildlife can come and go at will, so it isn't a hunting preserve.
It's a fair chase hunt. Everything's wild, everything's native.
Kemper is proud of the fact that the animals on his property are truly wild. As an example, we did see about a half dozen wild turkey. I should say we got a glimpse of some wild turkey because without camouflage clothing and moving around, they were gone in an instant. Kemper has certainly heard the hunting preserve horror stories from other states about tame animals actually befriending hunters.
They would actually come in and look in the blind with them. They'd try to shoo them away. They wouldn't leave. They had no fear of human because they'd been fed and been around human, obviously.
Kemper and others in the Sunshine State charge people a fee to hunt and extra money, big money, for what they shoot. He says that extra charge is trying to encourage the taking of trophy animals only, animals that present a challenge. A flat fee, he says, might put a target on any animal in sight. Dave McDaniel, News Channel 2.
Well, my next guest is a board member of the Animal Rights Foundation of Florida. She is also the county coordinator for Floridians for Humane Farms, and her name is Laura Guttridge, and we're delighted to have you in the studio.
Thank you for having us.
And I must say that the moment you sat down, Laura, you said, I know it's sad to bring a subject like this at a happy time of the year, but I think it's something that does go on, and as you explained, we have to find out what we can do to help God's creatures be a little more comfortable. So let's talk right off the bat, though, as county coordinator for this Floridians for Humane Farms, exactly what are we talking about?
Well, we're a newly formed organization. We consist of three major organizations: the Animal Rights Foundation of Florida, the Humane Society of the United States, and Farm Sanctuary. And we were formed specifically for this issue, and our purpose is to try to put a measure on the 2002 ballot, which would eliminate the confinement of animals, pigs in particular, on factory farms. And we need to gather over 430 voter signatures in order to do this. So I'm trying to find volunteers.
Maybe if we counted them 3 or 4 times, you could probably get those ballots. Just kidding. Just kidding. But it does seem to me if we'll ever have another ballot that we can understand or have another vote, we'll find that out too. But that's an awful lot of votes.
Yeah.
Petitions,
well,
I should say.
It is a statewide effort, and there are volunteers all across the state working on this. Our initial kickoff was on Election Day. I hate to bring up that topic.
Yeah, well, everybody else is.
We managed to get an incredible amount of signatures that day. But we have over a year and a half now, or just about right at a year and a half to gather the remaining signatures, and so we have to,
push.
Keep on, yes.
I don't know, I wasn't looking at the monitor, so I don't know if we showed that. Did we show the picture? Because I'd love to show what it is that people can identify with when they go to wherever you are to get those signatures. And what we're going to be looking at is what is happening to pigs. Tell me about that.
Well, it's so sad because pigs are arguably the most intelligent farm animal, yet they're treated the worst. The female sow, the pregnant pig, is kept in what they call a gestation crate that measures just 2 feet by 4 feet. She is unable to turn around at all, and she can't even lie down comfortably. She remains in this condition for nearly her entire life, up to 3 or 4 years, or until she stops breeding. And the crate is so cruel.
How long is the gestation period?
For a pig, I think it's 3 to 4 months, something like that.
But she's in there for 4 years?
Yes.
Well, she has to get out every once in a while if she keeps getting pregnant.
She's constantly kept pregnant, though. So she'll have the piglets, and then it's all over again for her. So it's a constant state of stress that she's in. I've actually witnessed a videotape of one of these factory-farmed facilities, and it's like a madhouse. I mean, the noise that the animals are constantly rocking back and forth. They're neurotic. They're gnawing on the metal bars. I was so relieved to get out of there. And
well, to see something like that would be just absolutely just horrendous. And certainly as a mom of 3 children, I can tell you that would have been a little discomforting as well, just to be crated up like that for any length of time, especially when you're pregnant. But of course, as you say, these are pigs, these are animals, but they are more of an intelligent animal. But regardless of that, it seems to me that, I'm not even thinking about the feelings, sad or unhappy or that, the emotions. I'm thinking about it must hurt.
Exactly.
Physically hurt.
Oh, and they can't express themselves like we can. That's why you see these neurotic behaviors.
Well, why do they do this? Why is this?
Well, the reason is for efficiency.
You're sure that that's the reason?
Oh, I'm positive. There's no other reason. Other countries, Sweden and England, for example, have banned the crate because of its cruelty. So they can use other methods. It's just a matter of them thinking of the animals as non-feeling beings.
Have you talked yourself to a farmer, a pig farmer?
No.
See, I really wish you would, because that always, to me, gives much more credibility, because maybe you would find out something that we don't really hear about, because there has to be a reason. I can't believe that a human being would be that inhumane to an animal.
But I believe it, it's true.
Without it being a necessity.
Well, these are the mega hog farmers that are using this technique. The family farmer, they do not use these kinds of techniques. And actually, If we were to eliminate the crate or to have to make the crates at least larger, it would not only help the animals, but it would also help the small family farmer, because the large mega hog farmer is displacing the small family farmer, and it's really just for mass production, and they treat these animals like they're just massive commodities.
So in other words, what you're saying there is they do this because they need the space. They're trying to get as many pigs in the smallest space possible.
Right.
Is that what it is?
And they're easier to control if they keep them like this. You know, I guess it would be easier to control them in a small crate than if they were running freely. But my philosophy is, if we're going to use these animals for food, we should at least have the decency to treat them with some level of respect. I mean, even if it has to be an inconvenience.
I mean, I don't know about respect, but certainly comfort is what we're talking about. But why is it, I mean, do you all do just pigs, or do you have, what is your focus?
Well, we have to focus on one issue, and the reason that we're focusing on the gestation crate is because we believe it is among the cruelest. Our society opposes cruelty to animals, and we should be able to extend this.
Our society really opposes cruelty to anybody.
Exactly, and we should be
your society, you mean your group.
No, our society as a whole.
Yeah, human beings, right.
It's not, we can't torture animals, and you know, these kinds of things go on behind closed doors, and we need to learn, you know, what's really happening and extend our compassion towards those animals.
Wouldn't you be the slightest interested, though, in talking with these farmers? Wouldn't it be, I mean, I think that would be so interesting to just see what kind of a human being could do that.
Well, you'd be surprised, because years ago I was actually attacked by a veal farmer with a 2x4, and he used foul language towards me, and I thought about filing a lawsuit against him, but I just let it go.
Was that simply, though, because you were protesting? And
I was actually looking for a protest location. He asked me what I was doing there. I guess, you know, he had a good enough reason to be mad at me, but they're not, I mean, willing to have a civilized conversation.
Well, but see, this is what I mean, because it is emotional, because I mean, we can certainly see what's happening now just when we see people who are not in agreement with political philosophies. We see that, but when you think about just talking to, I always think there's got to be some reason for this, but what you say is all we need to do is just have them change their way of mistreating these animals.
The way they're housing them. And the reason always boils down to profits. It's always a dollar sign placed on everything. It's easier, it's more efficient for them. Well, they don't take into consideration
the fact that you have a solution, that there is something else that they can do. Let's, in this last minute, though, tell our viewers how, if you are interested in helping this to ban cruel farms, what they can do, what you're looking for.
We're trying to get volunteers to gather signatures for us. You'd be surprised how many people you know, family, friends, co-workers, neighbors. If you could even just get 25 to 50 petitions signed.
All right, so if somebody, just because of deference of time, if they are interested in helping you secure these signatures, may they call you?
Yes.
And how would they call you?
234-1249, or you can reach us at our website, www.bancruelfarms.org.
And coming on, hope you'll come back more frequently and tell us and keep us up on all the different things and the efforts that you're working towards. We'd love to dedicate a couple of segments to you periodically.
We'd appreciate it.
Thanks so very much for being with us, and we do hope that the pigs get a bigger, and those poor little pregnant pigs, they need more space. Again, thanks for being with us.
Thank you.
We're going to break and be back to wrap it up. Stay with us.
We turn to News 12's Norris Dejan live from our mobile newsroom in Vero Beach to see how people are getting the message out. Norris.
Kurt, we're at the western end of the Barber Bridge, and as you can see, people are continuing to leave items along this fence in memory of 2 alligators that a trapper killed here last week. Now, this cross says live and let live. Well, wildlife officials say the gators were continuing to attract more and more attention. They were even causing some traffic accidents because people were looking at them and not at the road, and the gators had to go. Stop the killing. You couldn't leave a good thing alone, and we will miss you, Wally Gator and Wally Jr. Just some of the signs at the foot of the Barber Bridge protesting the recent killing of 2 alligators in this retention pond. Laura Guttridge put up the first sign. She's especially upset about the loss of one that was 12 feet long.
He was an estimated 50 years old, and all those years of his life, he has never shown any signs of aggression towards any human being.
But officials say he was starting to get too close to his regular spectators. That's unusual for gators, and it's dangerous.
We found pieces of raw chicken and chicken wrappers and stuff where people were buying chicken and coming to feed the gators, and it was just a matter of time.
And you know exactly where the bullet's going.
Exactly. The bullet's going to go right there, right in the brain.
Trapper Tommy Gore used what's called a bang stick to kill the alligators. It's an approved device for killing so-called nuisance gators, and he showed us his permit from the State Fish and Wildlife Commission. It says the reptiles had become a dangerous distraction. Gore says he wanted to trap the gators alive, but they kept charging the fence, and he didn't have much room inside the fence to move around.
It was a type of situation where one slip and I'd have fell in the gator's mouth.
The state doesn't train wildlife officers to trap nuisance gators. It has a network of private trappers who are allowed to kill what they catch and sell the meat and hide. Some animal activists want that to change.
Because maybe we could help them come up with other solutions rather than killing.
Now, if you drive by here, you'll notice that someone has placed an inflatable toy alligator on the pond with some orange stickers on it. Now, I understand the message behind that is if you feed a wild alligator, you might as well put bullseyes on it as well because they're going to have to shoot it. It is a second-degree misdemeanor to feed a wild alligator, punishable by up to 30 days in jail. Reporting live for the one to turn to in Vero Beach, North Station News 12.
Hi, would you state your name for the record, please?
Good evening. My name is Laura Guttridge. I reside in Vero Beach. I'm here tonight because I'm very upset over the killing of the 2 alligators that have been living in the retention pond at the west end of the Barber Bridge. In a civilized society, killing should never be the first solution. Certainly there could have been other options. This was a knee-jerk reaction to a non-existent problem. That alligator was an estimated 50 years old, and in all those years, he has never shown any aggression towards any human being. The council member that is responsible for this killing should be ashamed of himself for not only failing to preserve a valuable part of our natural environment, but for actively becoming a part of its destruction. And furthermore, it is my understanding that Chief Gabbard made the final decision. But the responsibility lies with the council for that decision to be delegated to someone who obviously is not up to the task. The people in our community have come to live here because of the unique environment that we are so lucky to have, which includes not just alligators, but all the other wildlife that live here too. These animals who live here are an intrinsic part of our natural beauty of this community. And it is the council's position, and if it is the council's position to have a knee-jerk reaction to any potential problem while trying to live in harmony with our environment, we should go ahead and fill our rivers with concrete and turn our parks into parking lots. Then we wouldn't have to worry about any potential problems. Or we could just give up the beauty we have here altogether and move to New York City. Instead of endorsing plans to take away from the natural charm and beauty of this community, you should try to honor your commitment to preserving it instead. Thank you.
Thank you. And just to make one point clear, this council we did not vote or anything on that. We did not even know it. I didn't even know it till I passed it over by the bridge and saw it happen.
Really?
Yes, we were not aware of that situation.
Okay, well, that makes me feel better because I'm not alone in this matter. I mean, I might be the only one that showed up tonight, but there's a lot of people in the community. If you've driven by there the last day or two, there's a little monument going on, and it's growing every day.
We've got a lot of letters and phone calls.
Okay, great. Well, hopefully in the future, because this is Florida, and wherever there's water, there's always a possibility of an alligator living there. Maybe we could post a sign reading, please do not feed the alligators, $500 fine, or something to stop this from happening again.
I'm sure that the city and the Department of Transportation and Wildlife will handle a little bit different next time.
I'd appreciate it. Thank you.
We appreciate it. Any other public comment? I'll close the public section.
Well, we have a guest with us here in front of what we call now the Alligator Shrine, and it's largely in part to the efforts of Laura Guttridge, who's affiliated with the Animal Rights Foundation, actually the Animal Rights Foundation of Florida. welcome, and it's so nice to see you here. And it's a sad situation, is it not, Laura?
It really is a sad situation. That alligator lived in that retention pond for years, and the people of Vero Beach would walk this bridge and hope to get a glimpse of him. He was an estimated 50 years old. He only had one eye, and all those years that he lived here, he has never shown any signs of aggression towards any human being. And for us to have this knee-jerk reaction to go down there and kill him for no real reason.
All right, let me just insert something here, though. How would you address and answer the people, as you and I spoke the other day, I know of a family whose young son, a long time ago in Brevard County, was devoured by an alligator. And just simply by walking into an area such as this, what do you say to people who are really critical of the efforts that you're putting forth?
Well, certainly there are hazards, but in this particular situation, it's completely fenced in. Unless somebody jumps over the fence, there's hazards everywhere in the world. I mean, children are killed constantly by riding their bicycles down the street. We're not going to throw all the bicycles in the garbage can, are we? So, we live in Florida. We realize that there's wildlife here. We have to try to coexist with the wildlife here. I mean, that's one of the reasons people move to Florida, because of the unique environment, and that includes not only alligators but other wildlife as well.
But I understand that this particular alligator had been fed by individuals and perhaps even harassed by young people or people walking through here. What would you have suggested? And please, because I know this is a situation where perhaps people are saying, okay, we're beating a dead horse, but we're kind of wrapping it up with Laura Guttridge, as you said, just so that it will not happen again. But let's go back into the situation. Was he aggressive? Did they fear that he was going to be aggressive? And then how, in fact, would you have taken care of that situation?
Well, first, when they say aggressive behavior, that could really just mean that he has lost his fear of humans, and he might have even been friendly, approaching people trying to get a marshmallow. So it's really sad for the alligator to label him aggressive or a nuisance when he was probably just friendly with humans.
Wait a minute, Laura, I've got to stop you right there. An alligator friendly with humans. Tell me that. Tell me a little bit how you can explain that.
Well, maybe I chose the wrong word, but he would approach people in hopes to get a piece of food.
And if he didn't get a piece of food, is there not that chance that he could have bitten someone or been a little more traumatic?
It certainly is a bad idea to feed alligators or any wildlife at all, and I think the solution would be, the police department made a promise that they would post signs here, do not feed or harass alligators, and there is a $500 fine. Perhaps if we would have done that years ago, this situation would have never taken place, and if nobody would have fed the alligator, maybe he would have been fine just living his life.
Why do you think that they had called in a professional alligator hunter to kill the alligator instead of removing him to another area?
Well, as anything in life, it always boils down to the almighty dollar, and the trapper has to be compensated somehow, and his compensation is an easy way out for the city because he just wants to be compensated with the meat and the hide. If he couldn't kill the alligator, well, then he would have to be compensated other ways, money, and then the alligator would have been transported to probably alligator farm or some kind of alligator land facility, or even in the wild, but then, again, you have money involved there.
Laura, we have read just recently as just last week, that individuals throughout the state of Florida have been bitten by alligators in different situations. This is the mating season. It is could be a treacherous situation. But let's kind of wrap this up and tell our viewers what you would hope that we would all do so that we can indeed live together with the animals on this planet.
Well, our first and most simplest step would be simply just do not feed the alligators. Let them live their lives, in peace.
This is a traffic area for individuals, and it is a bridge and a state road.
Well, if the alligator wasn't used to being fed by people, he probably wouldn't have came out. They're very reclusive. So if he's not being fed by people, it'll be a rare chance to get a glimpse of him to begin with. So I think if anything, I think if people could learn, the importance of not feeding wildlife, particularly alligators, I think that this wouldn't be all for loss.
And that is key. And I think what I was so intrigued in talking with you, because you certainly have a very calm approach to all of this, and a passion for this as well. But I think what you're saying, and very precisely, you might say to our viewers, what we should do the next time something like this might occur, what would you suggest? Can you give us that in 30 seconds?
Simply, first off, don't feed the alligators, and if this situation occurs again where people ignore the signs, possibly relocate the alligator. There's so many wetlands in Florida. I mean, killing should never be the first solution.
Laura Guttridge, who is with the Animal Rights Foundation, I hope I'm saying that correctly, of Florida, and of course keeping us kind of aware of what we can do and how we can indeed live together. We're going to wrap this up, and certainly I noticed a sign down here that says "Go Gators." I don't know if that is quite the appropriate thing, but it certainly is indicative of how there are two sides to all of these stories. But we'll let the alligators live in peace and certainly protect the mankind as well. Laura, thanks so very much for being with us.
Thank you.
We're going to break, and we'll be back with more discussions, so don't go away. We will be back.
Well, if you thought those previous segments were a little controversial, this one is really going to be controversial, but no one better than Laura Guttridge to talk about this particular issue, because I think really, Laura, and first of all, thanks so much for being with us.
Thank you for having me.
I think when you even convinced me that I could learn to love alligators, you know, I said, you've got to come back and talk about this, because this is an amendment on our state constitution. And talk about the amendment, if you will. And first of all, I want to tell our viewers that Laura Guttridge is the county coordinator for Floridians for Humane Farms. And that's what this is all about. I'll say right off the bat, Laura, my problem with this is that I don't think it should be on the state constitution. I don't think I think it demeans our constitution. Go for it.
Okay, well, the state constitution is set up in such a way to where when the legislatures are unresponsive to the will of the people, then we are able to go through the proper channels and get this on the ballot. In our case, it was getting over, or close, should I say, to 500,000 signatures. So there are a lot of voters, Florida voters, who want to see this happen. And we tried to go another direction. It wasn't working. This was our only alternative. And the state constitution is set up for these types of amendments. There are many amendments, very similar.
But is it worthy of an amendment?
Well,
to our constitution?
Well, it's the only way that we could do this. We had no other alternative.
And I'm going to speed you right along, because I know there's some thoughts you really want to get out. The differences between the United States Constitution and a state constitution is very, very viable.
Right, and a lot of people don't understand that. They hear Constitution and right away they think of the United States Constitution, which is an historical document considered sacred by many, including myself. And this has nothing to do with that. This is a state constitution. And it's, like I said, set up for this purpose.
All right, now there are people out there right now saying, what in the world are they talking about? What is this particular amendment?
Well, okay, it's to protect the sows, which are female pigs, which are, they're kept in what are called gestation crates. They're crates that measure 7 feet long, 2 feet wide. The pigs are unable to turn around. They're kept in there for 4 years. They're constantly kept pregnant for the 4 years of their lives. And these are in mega hog farms.
In Florida, though? Do we have a problem in Florida?
Well, it's not as big of a problem as it is in, say, North Carolina. But we're trying to prevent that problem. There are a handful of them here, so it won't make a significant economic impact on us, but it will help those pigs that are crated right now in Florida, but it is a handful. But what our main point here is to stop them from coming in and creating all kinds of problems like they have in the Carolinas.
In other words, having those farmers come into Florida and do the same thing. The fact that these pigs, and which you feel is extremely humane, and I know that you brought a picture here a couple of years ago and we talked about it, and it is inhumane, there's no question, but is there a reason for this, and what would the farmers say?
Okay, well, their reason is that it's more efficient. But the small family farmer, they do not practice this. It's just the mega hog farms, and they do it, they treat the animals like they're commodities and not living beings.
Is there another way to do it?
Yes, which if the bill does pass, they will have to either go to group housing, which is what is preferred, or make the crates larger.
But why would this be expensive? Why would this not be just a typical thing to do?
Well, that is it's typical for a family farmer, the small family farmer that is, by the way, being snuffed out by these big mega hog farmers.
Well, that's the way of the world, though.
Well, and and also though,
the Walmarts and the mom and pops.
True, but these are living animals that we're talking about here, and it's not about vegetarianism. It's about treating animals with some level of respect. But another issue I'd like to just point out is
we have
that
1 minute, so
there's an environmental problem with all these mega hog farms, the pollution, the groundwater that they pollute from the waste runoff, not to mention the stench. They usually set up in areas.
Where are they located in Florida? Do we know?
Well, they're scattered, but they're usually, like, if the big mega hog farmers were to come in here, they'd probably go to Fellsmere, Gifford, and the main reason is because they devalue all the property next to them, because not only of the contamination, but the stench is horrible.
Do you know, there is so much, and of course this is Amendment, what number?
10.
Amendment 10. Check it out. Go into it. You've listened to Laura Guttridge, who is the county coordinator for Floridians for Humane Farms. Truly is an inhumane situation when you see the pictures of it, but there are always two sides to every story. Laura, thanks so very much. I hope you'll come back and we'll talk about some of your other causes.
I'd love to. Thanks.
Because she also happens to be the wife of darling Bobby Guttridge, that we cut his hair off right on TV. Loved it.
He was mad about that, too.
I know. It's wonderful, though. Laura, thanks so very much. And I know this is a very passionate thing for you, and it certainly gives us food for thought. Thanks for being with us.
Thanks, Marsha.
And that's it for Town Talk today. If you have an issue that you'd like to have hashed, give me a call. Town Talk. We hope you've enjoyed our show today, and we'll see you next time.
Here at Special Report, we pride ourselves on bringing you all the news on Capitol Hill, and so we tell you that today was National Hot Dog Day. That's when lawmakers, staff, and interns all get to chow down free on one of the nation's signature foods. But the animal rights group PETA offered its own alternative, veggie dogs, and tried to entice the very same lawmakers, staff, and interns with its own scantily clad servers to serve up what it called not dogs. Very little, as you can see, escapes our notice here at Special Report.
The nation's capital belonged to not cats, but a dog today, the hot dog. Today was National Hot Dog Day, an annual event put on by the American Meat Institute. It had people lining up for lunch. On the flip side, people for the ethical treatment of animals, PETA, held their own lunchtime special, calling it National Veggie Dog Day. I can tell you, veggie dogs and turkey dogs taste good. They featured women dressed in artfully placed lettuce leaves. I'm sorry, I got distracted. I sounded, but you gotta love PETA.
Really? And it was National Hot Dog Day at the nation's capital, but while some people enjoyed eating the free hot dogs, PETA protesters served up a different kind of meal. Wearing nothing but bikinis, they handed out veggie dogs and vegetarian starter kits. I don't know. Going to convince me to stop eating hot dogs.
Are they really hardcore vegetarians, or do they hire models for those things?
I don't know. Some good-looking people belong to PETA, huh?
I tell you, yes. That's the, you hit the nail on the head.
If you have a child that's tormenting the family dog or cat, chances are that child is also tormenting some poor little kid at the playground.
Exactly. And chances are that child was tormented by somebody.
Right, it's like a vicious circle.
Exactly. So why the child behave that way?
Right.
So he or she has to learn that behavior at home.
Absolutely.
Somebody is doing that to that child.
Because when we teach kindness and respect to children, that's to respect animals, that spills over to respect and compassion for human beings.
Absolutely.
As well. And so they won't grow up to be vicious
and nasty,
beat their wives.
Well, and you have a great point, because what you're teaching the human being, which is this little person right now, is reverence towards the universe, reverence towards life, reverence towards their parent. And what you're doing, you're raising a person who will be fully complete human being.
Right.
Because those are qualities of character, kindness, compassion, love. You only learn that at home. You don't learn that in books.
Right, absolutely. Because, I wouldn't want some doctor working on me that when he was a child let the goldfish starve in the tank. I mean, I would like, compassion clean across the board.
Absolutely, absolutely.
But, another thing...
Welcome to our happy and healthy lifestyle. Today we are in the beautiful home and kitchen of Susan Homemaker. No, Laura Guttridge. We're playing cooking today.
It's fun.
Yes, so you're sharing with us some of your wonderful recipes based on soy products.
Exactly.
So what are we doing today, baby?
Well, this is one of my favorites. It's tofu piccata, and I make it with the grilled tofu.
Okay.
And that's much easier to work with than regular tofu because it's already of good consistency, and you can get that at Publix. Okay, we start off with onions, mushrooms, garlic, and capers.
Okay.
Sautéed.
Let's put it in.
I already pre-sautéed it a little bit, and some more olive
I'm
oil.
hungry.
I always use olive oil. I'm sure you do too.
Oh, absolutely. That's the only fat I will eat.
Yes, it's a good fat.
Yes.
So we get that all in there, and then we add the grilled tofu. And I should add that tofu is a wonderful source of protein. Speaking of fat, without all the unwanted saturated fat associated with meat. So then I take fresh lemon, squeeze that on there.
Little tasty,
Oh,
lemony.
It gives it some nice zest. And then I thinly slice some lemons.
Okay.
And these are actually good for eating. So we just put those in there.
I like to make lemonade.
It's wonderful. And
Beautiful.
then it's that simple. All we do is we take it over here and we saute it for, I would say 10 minutes or so. And the lemons will get nice and soft. And this is the most incredible dish.
So you don't need to cook that too much because it's tofu. It's already pre-cooked.
Right. It's already, if you get the already grilled tofu, then you don't have to worry so much about, I have to cook this for,
Exactly.
Basically, just warm this up and you're good to go. It's a simple, quick, easy, healthy, wonderful meal.
Okay, baby. We need to... Eating all what that is in nature. You are vegetarian, so you want to say something about vegetarian?
Well, that's why that's why I think the Atkins diet bothered me so much, because a friend of mine, he was eating and all he had was just the meat, no bread, no anything else, just a piece of meat.
And then you're thinking, he killed my cow.
And he's killing himself too. Everyone's dying.
Laura is very active in animal, what do you call it?
Animal rights.
Animal
yes,
rights.
I am. And I know that's a very unpopular thing with some people, but it's a passion that I have.
Exactly.
And it's a passion that brought us together.
I have to say this. You know how I met her? In a cat funeral.
I was reading poetry, and she thought I was very passionate about my feeling for animals.
Yeah. And we've been friends since then.
Yes, and that was like 5 or 6 years ago.
Yeah, because, I love people who are passionate. She's been to prison in defense of the animals.
I have.
And you also have beautiful, sexy pictures with Pam Anderson.
I met Pam Anderson, yes, the animal rights function. I was a lettuce lady.
Yeah,
and,
those lettuce look good.
I did look good in my salad.
What kind of dressing?
Vinegar and oil.
Okay. Oh, boy. Okay, now we're taking a break and we'll be right back.
Funny. After the festival's over, I feel a bit of a reprieve that I have a whole year before I have to be bombarded with the advertisements and the stories of the Frog Lake Festival. But then, the year just seems to roll on by, and here we are again. I can't ignore it. It's, the festival is in your face every year. And as long as they continue to systematically hunt down and kill Florida's frogs, I will be here to fight for them. A lot of people don't really think it's important to fight for frogs, so I'm pretty much alone in this battle, I feel. I don't have a problem at all with the festival. I want to make that clear. It's the systematic hunting and killing of tens of thousands of frogs taken from our local and state marshes annually for this festival. I don't have a problem with the local hunters that want to go out on their airboats and bag 10 or 20 frogs. This isn't about that. I'm not trying to take that away from anybody. I'm trying to save Florida's frog population from the annual massacre by the Fellsmere Frog Lake Festival.
ahead.
Not too